Oh, it's okay. I'm a little stressed out now looking at these test scores, but it's gonna be
It's
alright.
okay, it's okay, it's just a pretest. Yeah, excuse me. Alright, gonna just start talking about them?
Yeah, I guess.
What was your highest score?
Mine was Marty. He got a 71, and he did fairly well. I was actually really surprised. He did good on the short answer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is where most of my kids went wrong.
Yeah, I don't think I've had anybody miss question like short answers like this before.
Yeah, no, he did really well on the short answer, and but he did miss the multiple choice ones. But he got a 71%, which was my highest.
Mine was I think my highest was a 26. Yeah, a 26%, Amy.
Okay.
Which is, she got a lot of the, like, questions right, like, a lot of the multiple choice, the true false, she got all right, all the vocabulary, all of her credit score stuff was almost correct.
Yeah.
She missed 2 of the short answer, and then she did miss the big essay question. Yeah. So that was definitely on our response.
I had a lot of students just not do this.
Do it, yeah. Which makes sense. We haven't gone over the unit, but like I think that's important. You got to learn how to write and synthesize information.
Yes, I agree.
So we want to like take a look at our blueprints for the tests.
Yes.
And see what specifically they missed.
So one of mine was I can analyze a good credit report, and that was one of my fill in the blank questions, and a lot of them got it right. They knew what a good credit score was, but some of them got it wrong, and I would like to dive a little deeper into that and explain to them how they can get a good credit report other than just having it fill in the blank, like, oh, is this a good credit score or is this not?
Yeah.
So I want them to know like how they can raise their credit score.
Oh, like why is your credit score?
Yes.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, we didn't really put a lot of that on here.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Yes.
I think one of my I can statements was where'd it go? I can assess the impact of the Columbian exchange on different parts of the world, and that was largely what the short answer questions were, and the essay question, and they just can't keep them separate or can't differentiate, or there's something we need to do to make them understand the difference between what was happening in Europe and what was happening in the Americas.
Right.
And kind of explain that better. Another one of my I can statements was I can identify change in a society, which was one of my essay questions. Describe one way that the Native American tribe that a Native American tribe may have been affected by the Europeans, and name one way a European may have been affected by the goods brought over from the Americas. So we need to kind of recognize, okay, this did have an impact on society.
Yeah.
And what was that?
I just noticed like the ones that did try and answer, at least try and answer the short answer ones, they tried, but they didn't go into as much detail as I would like to have seen.
Okay, and I think that'll come with like
knowing the content.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And we just need to make sure like that they understand that this is a higher cognitive complexity, and it's important for understanding the material. Like you can't just regurgitate information. You have to be able to analyze it and to come to your own conclusions about things that we talk about. So definitely something that we want to focus on.
Yes. My grade level expectation overall for this unit was explaining the importance of annually verifying one's credit report.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't really quite understand, you should check your credit report more often than a year, but it's really important that you do it every single year, and a lot of people don't. So they didn't really know that very well.
Okay, so I think just telling them up front, okay, so this is what you guys are gonna have to learn. This is the standard that that we're working on right now. Mine is analyzing the exchange of goods and ideas and people to determine their impact on global interdependence.
Yeah.
So up front, I'm gonna be hey, you guys have to understand and analyze this exchange, this world exchange, and we're gonna do that through the Columbian exchange. That's how I decided to go about it.
Okay.
So that's what we're gonna have to focus on is that analyzing,
And I want them to be able to not only explain the importance of like having a good credit report, but I want them to be able to analyze like what a good credit report looks like and how they can get a good credit report and just go into detail about that.
Right. Okay. So like on improving them, you know, got to focus on that, on those standards. Let them know. Okay. So we're gonna have to think deeper, think better.
Yes. And I think the ways we can do that are maybe at the end of each class that we teach, maybe give them like 5 minutes at the end of class to just kind of write down their thoughts about what they learned, kind of just like a journal situation. I don't know.
Okay.
Like maybe that'll work to help them like work on their writing skills and things like that.
That way they can ask questions and not necessarily be like, oh, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
You know, they don't feel stupid.
Yeah.
That's good. I like the anonymous questions and and like writing about what they've learned.
Yes.
And
then that way it's gonna help them in more than just art class, you know.
Right. That writing skills.
Yes.
Okay. So we should have at least, I think by this midterm of this unit, 60% of them proficient.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you've got one.
Yeah, I have Marty that I think with some help, he can get there.
Yeah, and my Amy, who's got that 26,
Yeah.
like she got a lot of it right. It's just that essay that knocks her down.
Yeah.
Which is what that's just going to come with the unit.
Right.
Making sure that we explain that well enough and like give them enough opportunities to learn how to do that. So like with formative assessments, like having them write essays or little short reflections, I think, on like the unit, or like let's say we talk about one day how the Native Americans were affected by the English. Okay, so that's when they write something about it.
Yeah.
The second one is how Europe was affected by Americas. Write a reflection on that. At the end, it's got both. It's got how like that started global interdependence and things like that. And did we talk about that they did well with the vocabulary?
Yeah, I was actually just about to go into that. Some of their strengths were they really did understand the vocabulary of everything we discussed really well.
Okay.
They understood your parts of the test in the vocabulary, they understood my parts of the test, so I'm not too worried about that portion of it.
Neither am
I. They just need to be able to go deeper into what they know.
It's that explaining and analyzing part. Okay, so we talked about that goal that we want 60% of the proficient.
Right.
And then like I think you mentioned a while back about discussing and addressing specific problems.
Yeah. I just want them to be able to just like come to us, like, and we can just like put them into groups maybe, and they can like we can just tell them like, hey, this is what we want you to know, and if they have any problems with it, they can just tell us, or if they just feel like there's something they just need a little bit more help on.
Right, that we're not necessarily getting, or we're not understanding what they need.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I've had group discussions in a couple of my classes where, like, everyone's like, man, I just don't get this concept, or like, they're like, if it's a group discussion, like their peers can help them out, which I think, like, I found that when you teach somebody, like, you understand the information more, and I think group discussions are a good way to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
And probably like give points for participation and stuff like that, because like I think it's an important thing to be able to talk about things like that.
I agree, and I think that it really helps that we have the opportunity to sit down and like actually go over the data that we're getting.
Yeah, like,
and the importance of like really just sitting down and understanding and seeing what these kids know and where we need to go.
Yeah, and how I can change my teaching to like suit their needs. Like these data team meetings are like super important. Like I wouldn't want to teach a class without having a data team meeting, because I think like I'm not the only one teaching this class.
Right.
You know, we can be on the same page.
Yes, I think it helps that we can all be on the same page.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, well I think I've discussed everything I need to.
I think I'm also done. Just try to implement these goals in our classrooms, and
we can check up with each other every like week or so.
Yeah.
We can see each other next week and see what we're doing, and maybe like bring our classes in together if we need to.
Make sure everything's on track.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I'll see you next week.
See you next week.